Today, that archetype of what a man is being taught that there's something wrong with it, that there's something that's implicitly violent about being a man. And that's wrong. And I think the people that are harmed the most by it, by the way, are women. Women are harmed the most. When you break down men and strong fathers, we are the ones that suffer the most.
And also, can I just say that, you know, men commit suicide at faster rates than women. Women actually live longer than men. Most men are actually in prison, and most men, more than women, are homeless. So
women graduate more from college.
There are more women
in what way are we suffering? What statistic do you feel that women are suffering and men aren't? Because there might be a meninist. There might need to be a meninism movement.
You have a female prime minister.
Well, I just need to know what exactly you've seen when you've said that is an example of toxic masculinity.
I think men feeling that they need to dominate spaces physically and speaking over women, interrupting women, belittling them.
Yeah.
Do you see how good I'm being?
I mean, you can...
So, just a question. So, you just said when men interrupt and dominate spaces. Were you a toxic feminist when you interrupted me when I was on stage?
No, I was interrupting something.
I'm just asking.
That I fundamentally don't believe in.
But I'm just asking because you're saying that somebody interrupting someone is now a symbol of toxic masculinity. You just interrupted me on stage, so are you a toxic feminist?
I wasn't interrupting you because I didn't...
You went, bullshit!
Yeah, because you were talking
bullshit!
Because you were talking bullshit. I didn't interrupt you because you're a woman. I interrupted you because I didn't believe what you were saying. It's not that I didn't believe what you were saying.
But maybe that's what men do sometimes? Is it possible that men sometimes interrupt because they disagree with what women are saying and not because they're toxic masculinity in the air? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Is that you're coming up with terms and sometimes people just interrupt. I'm fine with the fact that you interrupted me. It happens all the time and I'm not holding that against you. I'm just using it to prove a point that you've created an entire concept around when men interrupt women, but you literally just interrupted me and you don't identify as yourself as a toxic feminist.
No, because I interrupted you on the basis that I didn't agree with the politics you're espousing, both of you.
Well, maybe men are just disagree with what you're saying.
Because you're a woman. The fact that you're a woman is completely irrelevant to me.
But maybe it's irrelevant to men as well when they interrupt people. Men interrupt other men. Men interrupt women.
That's not the case.
We're
There's a culture of men's voices being valued more than women's.
What is your metric for
this? Give us one piece of data.
Yeah,
one.
like a data.
Any piece of data.
You can't just say that there's a culture of men interrupting women. What's your data point for this?
Any kind of interpretivist data where you're looking at interactions, at dynamics, you can see. I mean, what do you want me to say? Like a statistic?
Like a fact?
Yeah.
Any fact.
Any kind of...
How about the stuff dominating?
A recent huge cultural example, maybe?
So can I ask a question? Do you think we live in a patriarchy?
Yes.
Why do women live longer than men? Why are men more likely to commit suicide? Why do women compose 50+% of college
Why do we
graduates?
control 89% of the spending power within households if men are the ones that are going out and making all of the money, as we like to say?
Because women have the sole responsibility of caring for the house and the children.
So it's a patriarchy that allows women a lot of responsibility?
Within a household, within a certain sphere, not a powerful one. The household is not a powerful sphere.
Then why are majority of business startups women, majority of master's degrees, and majority of doctorate degrees in the state?
The way that women support men, like... It's a huge
thought we live in a
They support each other.
I'm not saying no, they don't. No, they don't. I'm talking.
But so
about
this is sort of. I appreciate the discussion we're having. You're such a perfect reason for why I could never be a feminist because everything that I just couldn't. It's like. You don't really know why you're calling it toxic. You did the exact same thing, but you decided that when men interrupt, it's because you're a woman. But you decided that when you interrupt, it's just because you had a differing opinion.
You asked me for one example.
I know. And then you say stuff about the marriage and breakdown as an emotional labor. There are women, just so you know, that aspire to get married and have children and stay at home and raise good children. And that's okay. So, but why are you not making it seem like that puts us in a position that's less than man? Want to create a society? Be the person that raises every individual that's in society. Feminism has made it seem like there's something wrong with being a mother, that there's something wrong with being a wife. And everything that you just said is that. You have. It's not emotional labor. I want to have children. I want to raise my children. I don't want to be the CEO of a company and not have a husband. And that's not what I aspire to. And that's why feminism is having a hard time with a lot of women who are realizing that when they give up everything that they naturally want in life to be a feminist, they end up miserable and alone.
So can I ask? Can a man?
Yeah, but
ask a question?
feminism is supposed to be about choice, and what radical feminism is actually doing is taking away that choice and making women feel bad about wanting to maybe be the traditional view of what a woman is. There's nothing wrong with having a choice to do both. I don't really understand your point.
The reason why I don't like feminism because it basically tells us that we have to feel this way,
No,
that we have to feel bitter towards men, towards husbands, towards marriage, towards children, and that's why I'm trying to let you know the feminist movement is considered very radicalized.
Can I give you some facts, though, to support this? No? You don't want to hear from a man? Okay. Wait, you see how things get really dangerous and you start to generalize men and women all of a sudden, like you did?
I just wanted to continue the conversation that I was
Okay,
having
you can
with
talk to
Candace. Without you jumping
We'll talk about facts later. Sorry.
I really do want a husband and children one day.
Okay,
So,
that's fine,
but what I'm saying to you is the
respect
reason
that.
why I don't like feminism is because feminists think feminism is mandatory. The second you find out that a girl doesn't identify as a feminist, you're up here and you're asking a bunch of questions. I don't like the feminist movement. I think it's become very toxic and very hostile towards men. If you believed in the equality that men and that women should be able to think whatever we wanted, you wouldn't be debating me right now. You'd say, well, more power to you because you'd be a true feminist. But you're not. You're trying to...
Belittling other women.
I'm not belittling them. You're allowed to be a feminist. I'm not telling you you can be a feminist. You could buy a pussy hat if you left today and I wouldn't mind. I've never had an issue with people that are feminists. I have an issue when people tell me that I now have to be a feminist or that it's complete bullshit when I say that I think it's harmful to keep telling men that masculinity is wrong. Masculinity is a component of being a man. I think a society needs and thrives on strong men. Because I support that, you're upset and you're calling bullshit. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with strong men? Why does that make you upset?
I just think that the values, you referenced the Gillette advert, all it was saying was, the message was fundamentally just stop being violent, just...
No, it wasn't.
In your view.
Little toddlers...
I said it's because white men have historically done so much shit, they're just asking
So
you to
do
stop
agree
for
with the
once.
anti-male posture. So your
No,
true
I
radical
don't.
feminism
I don't
comes
agree
out
with it.
after 10 minutes of cross-examination. Before you said, I have no problem with men. Now you said
you're
it's because
saying you
white
do.
men have done a lot of shit.
Yeah,
Now we get to revealing who you really are, which
that
is
is
a
what
hateful,
feminism is.
angry person.
They just hate men. There is no other platform.
They don't hate men. They're just,
You just
there's
said-
no problem. There is no problem with analysing the actions of men in history and condemning them.
You mean like
What
winning
about all the
World
good
War II?
ones?
You know, the ones
What
who
about all
died
the good
for our
ones?
freedom, so that's wrong. We can't do that.
Like defeating the
Or,
Nazis?
or people, men who had invented anything that men have invented, we can't use anymore.
Slavery
So
wasn't ended in America because
there's
women were
positives and
fighting.
negatives.
It's complete hyperbole.
What about all of the good? What about all the good things? Everything that we have in society, every war that was fought and won was because of men. Do you ever think
Half
about
the
that?
wars were unnecessary anyway. I mean, wars
they
that we
happen,
fought
though.
and
Now
Now we're
won.
spiraling.
Yeah,
Now we're
and
spiraling.
But they happen
Well,
now.
let me ask you a question. Do you
That's
think
an
women can
awful
have done
example.
anything wrong, or that women can do anything wrong? Like, would you have been okay if there was like a strict razor commercial, like about toxic femininity? Would that have been okay with you?
Tell me what you think toxic femininity
Accusing
is.
men of things that never happen and
Yeah.
calling it sexual
Like what?
assault?
Let me ask you a question. Do you think, so now we're getting, now this is why I don't support feminism, by the way, do you believe in the concept that women should just be believed absent facts? Because that was the Christine Blasey Ford thing. There was not a single fact. Do you think that women should be believed absent facts if they say that they were raped and assaulted?
Not without fact, but I think there should be a culture of belief.
But it's really important when you start getting into that slippery slope of believe women, and I talk about this particularly in minority America because we've learned our lesson the hardest with this. And I think radicalized feminism, when I did an interview, I said it was the closest thing to white supremacy I've ever seen is radicalized feminism. The concept of just believing a woman because she said something is the direct thing that led to all of our ancestors getting lynched in America. When white women would just say that something happened, okay? And we were supposed to magically believe it. Our ancestors were then chased after, put into cars, Emmett Till, everything that happened in America happened because white women should just be believed. So you will never, ever, ever hear me stand behind a radicalized concept like just believe women because they're crying. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today.
Thank you.